Welcome students. Today we will be learning about more in HTML like embedding audio and video, frames and many other features in detail. HTML5 has introduced the audio and video tags to embed audio and video in web pages without the need for a proprietary plugin. Did you know that? Well, let's learn about this in detail. Adding video and audio to a web page is almost as easy as adding an image or formatting some text. Using frames, a browser window can be divided into multiple sections to display multiple web pages in a single window. Using HTML forms, user input can be taken online. Let's start with embedding audio into a web page. The HTML5 audio tag is used to embed audio in a web page, as you all know. The audio tag is used to play an audio file on a web page, such as an MP3 file. Here is an example of the code. Let's see the attributes of audio tag. The controls attribute is used to add audio controls like play, pause, and volume. These attributes allow you to specify the URL of an audio file. The text between the audio and the end of the audio tags will only be displayed in browsers that do not support the audio tag. The autoplay attribute specifies that the audio will start playing as soon as it's ready. Controls specify that the audio controls should be displayed, such as a play or a pause button. Loop specifies that the audio will start over again every time it is finished. Muted specifies that the audio output should be muted. Preload, which its values being auto, metadata, none, specifies if and how the author thinks the audio should be loaded when the page loads. This, with its value being URL, specifies the URL of the audio file. Here is an example. Next, using the embed tag. The embed tag is used to embed multimedia content into an HTML document. The following code fragment embeds audio files into a web page. Moving on to embedding video into a web page. The HTML video element provides a way to embed video in web pages. Like in this example, the attribute of video tag are. The controls attribute is used to add video control like play, pause, and volume. The source attribute allows you to specify the URL of a video file. The text between the video and this tag will only be displayed if the browser does not support the video tag. The following are similar to the audio attributes except these new ones. Height, with its value being pixels, sets the height of the video player. Poster, with its value being URL, specifies an image to be shown while the video is downloading or until the user hits the play button. And width, with its value being pixels, sets the width of the video player. Here is an example. Now, using the embed tag. The embed element is used to embed multimedia content into an HTML document. The following code fragment embeds a flash video into a web page. Here is the syntax and an example. Moving further with frames in HTML. HTML frames are used to divide the browser window into multiple sections where each section can display a separate HTML document. A collection of frames in the browser window is known as a frame set. You can create multiple frames in a web page, or by using the concept of frames, you can view multiple web pages in a single window. A frame is also called a sub-window. Let's learn creating frames now. To create frames on a web page, the frame set tag instead of body tag is used. The rows attributes of the frame set tag is used to create horizontal frames in a web page. The calls attribute is used to create vertical frames, and each frame is indicated by the frame tag. Here are the attributes of frame set. The calls attribute is used to create vertical frames in a web page. This attribute is basically used to define the number of columns and their size inside the frame set tag. The value for width of the column is set in the frame set in pixels or percentage. This is an example. In this, an asterisk will take the remaining percentage for creating a vertical frame. Next, the row attribute is used to create horizontal frames in a web page. This attribute is used to define the height of rows and their size inside the frame set tag. The height of each row is set in the frame set in pixels or percentage. Here is an example. In it, the asterisk will take the remaining percentage for creating a horizontal frame. Then, the border of the frame set tag is used to set the width of the border of each frame in pixels. The 0 value is used for no border. This is the example. Next, the frame spacing attribute of frame set tag is used to specify the amount of spacing between the frames in a frame set. This can take an integer value as a parameter. Here is an example. Let's now learn the attributes of frame tag. The name attribute is used to give the name to the frame, like this. This attribute is used to specify the URL of the source file to be displayed in the frame, like shown here. Margin width is used to specify the width of the spaces in pixels between the border and contents of the left and right frame in this way. Margin height is used to specify the height of the spaces in pixels between the borders and contents of the top and bottom frame like this. Scroll bar attribute is used to place the scroll bar. The value of this attribute can be yes, no or auto, like for no here. Here is a detailed example and the output. Moving to HTML forms. HTML forms are required when you want to collect some data from the user. For example, during user registration, you would like to collect information such as name, email address, credit card details, etc. A form will take input from the user and then will post it to a back-end application such as CGI, ASP script or PHP script. There are various form elements available like text fields, text area, drop-down menus, radio buttons, checkboxes, etc. The HTML form tag is used to create an HTML form and it has the following syntax. Let's see the form attributes. Action specifies where to send the form data when a form is submitted. Method specifies the method to be used to upload data. The most frequently used methods are get and post methods. Target specifies the target window or frame where the result of the script will be displayed. It takes values like blank, self, parent, etc. Now, about the HTML form controls. There are different types of form controls that you can use to collect data using HTML form, like text input controls, checkboxes controls, radio box controls, list, combo box, submit and reset button. About text input controls now. There are 3 types of text inputs used on forms. Single line text input controls are used for items that require only one line of user input, such as search boxes or names. Single line text input control is created using the HTML input tag. Password input controls are also a single line text input, but it masks the character as soon as a user enters it. It is also created using the HTML input tag. And now, multi-line text input controls are used when the user is required to give details that may be longer than a single sentence. Multi-line input controls are created using the HTML text area tag. Let's look at each one in detail. Starting with single line text input controls. Here is a basic example of a single line text input used to take first name and last name. This will produce the following result. Following is the list of attributes for input tag for creating text field. Type is used to specify the type of input control, and for text input control, it will be set to text. Name is used to give a name to the control which is sent to the server to be recognized and get the value. Value is used to provide an initial value inside the control. Size specifies the width of the text input control in terms of characters. Max length specifies the maximum number of characters a user can enter into the text box. Next, password input controls. This is also a single line text input, but it masks the character as soon as a user enters it. They are also created using HTML input tag, but type attribute is set to password. Here is a basic example of a single line password input used to take user password. This will produce the following result. The following list of attributes for input tag for creating password fields is similar to the single line text input controls attributes. Except in the type attribute for password input control, it will be set to password instead of text. Moving to multi-line text input controls. This is used when the user is required to give details that may be longer than a single sentence. Multi-line input controls are created using the HTML text area tag. Here is a basic example of a multi-line text input used to take item description. This will produce the following result. Following is the list of attributes for text area tag. Name is used to give a name to the control which is sent to the server to be recognized and get the value. Rows specifies the number of rows of the text area box. Calls specifies the number of columns of text area box. Next, checkbox control. Checkboxes are used when more than one option is required to be selected. They are also created using the HTML input tags. Here is an example HTML code for a form with 2 checkboxes. This will produce the following result. Following is the list of attributes for the radio button. Type specifies the type of input control, and for checkbox input control, it will be set to checkbox. Name is used to give a name to the control which is sent to the server to be recognized and get the value. Value specifies the value that will be used if the checkbox is selected. And checked is used to set the to checked if you want to select it by default. Moving on to radio button control. Radio buttons are used when out of many options, just one option is required to be selected. They are also created using HTML input tag, and the type attribute is set to radio. Here is an example HTML code for a form with 2 radio buttons. This will produce the following result. Following is the list of attributes for the radio button. Type is used to specify the type of input control, and for checkbox input control, it will be set to radio. Name is used to give a name to the control which is sent to the server to be recognized and get the value. Value specifies the value that will be used if the radio box is selected. Checked is set to checked if you want to select it by default. Next is button controls. There are various ways in HTML to create clickable buttons. You can create a clickable button using the input tag by setting its type attribute to button. The type attribute can take the following values. Submit is used to create a button that automatically submits a form. Reset is used to create a button that automatically resets form controls to their initial values. Button is used to create a button that is used to trigger a client-side script when the user clicks that button. Here is an example HTML code for a form with 3 types of buttons. This will produce the following result. Lastly, select boxes. A select box is a drop-down list of options that allows the user to select one or more options from a pull-down list of options. Select box is created using the select element and option element. The option elements within the select element defines each list item. Here is an example and the output. There you have it, students, a chapter of more in HTML. I'm sure this was very helpful understanding the features of HTML. I'll see you very soon. Bye.